PKN 396. How you doing, boys?
Not bad. Not
Doing
bad.
solid.
It's in my head, but it felt like a longer gap from PKA
Yeah?
to today. It's like it's been a while.
Did you miss me?
I guess so.
Oh, how sweet. It is genuinely weird though. Like when we miss an episode, and I'm sure it feels the same for you guys, where it's like, man, it feels like eons since I've been stupid online, and it's just it's only like 10 days, but it's a fun habit. I love doing the show. So Kyle, you've been obsessed with the war.
Man, it's been so
continuing.
It's it feels
What's
like,
happened since? Pretend I haven't looked at it at all.
Yeah.
Pretend I've been looking at, I don't know, something, a waste of time, magic deck layouts and
so the things that have actually happened. So the overall thing is that the Russians are still stuck. They're not making any progress, and they're still shooting their like dumb bombs that aren't like laser guided or anything, just blowing up.
Can I jump in?
Lots of stuff. Yeah.
So I've heard that the hypersonic missiles that got all that attention for shooting might not have actually been used. That it was just a bluff, or they wanted credit for doing it, but they didn't.
A little fake.
Well, I saw the reports of them supposedly doing it, and then like 2 or 3 days later, the Russians said they did it. I don't think it matters if they did or not. We know they have the weapons and they have used them before, and it's kind of it's a weapon that doesn't make any sense to use here, because it's the main advantage of this hypersonic weapons is to carry a nuclear warhead or to carry some sort of like aircraft carrier, like ship destroying missile. The point is it can't really be countered because it's going so fast.
Is that the video where it was like a Russian ship and they're testing their hyper missile or whatever?
So what I'm talking about is it maybe is that missile, but like Kyle said, the missile goes so fast that it's almost impossible to prevent from hitting its target.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble is, in Ukraine, they don't really have any counter missile defense systems protecting the maternity ward of some children's hospital. So they don't need to use that weapon to shoot buildings.
Yeah. Seems like that's more of a threat, showing like, hey, NATO, we're a real country with a real military. Check out what we can do from the Atlantic to London in 4 minutes or whatever number they claim.
It's funny you said that, because some people are saying they're trying to get credit for shooting these missiles at like buildings in a spot where you wouldn't want to waste such an expensive missile without actually doing that.
And I saw. So you wouldn't have seen the video of it, because I've only seen one video that supposedly is a hypersonic missile, and it looked fake to me.
Okay.
If you saw the video I'm talking about, you'd be like, "Oh, what the fuck is that?" Because it's going so fast that it looks like something from a sci-fi movie. It sort of just like goes over their head and then it's gone. Like most of the cruise missiles that people see, it's like, oh, look at that, and it's just like
a jet almost.
Yeah, a lot of them are subsonic. But yeah, it seems like things have really bogged down. It doesn't matter if they shot a supersonic missile or not. They have them. They've had them for some time.
Yeah, seems like using it in this context to be like, killing a moth with a cannon.
So I don't deny they have them. I guess they do, but it's just a little bit. To me, it plays into the role of their myth of the 10-foot Russian. If people haven't heard that term before, it's this idea that the Soviet Union was our equal in terms of being a global superpower, that they have nearly as many jets and tanks and carriers and this and that as we do. And then when they try to take out Ukraine, they're all out of gas and stabbing their own fuel tanks and getting fucked. And so this, now we're using our top weapons against these buildings, is kind of like, we're still 10 foot tall. Are you? I don't know.
What have the peace talks gone anywhere? I know they've had a number of those now.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I remember a few weeks ago, both sides doing like start from a high anchor point with their negotiation, both like, we require unconditional surrender. And it's like, well, let's move more towards the middle there. Hopefully stop the fighting. Has that moved at all?
Yeah, it seems like they're definitely going somewhere toward the middle, like I was talking about, where what's probably going to happen is
that's good.
Russia's going to keep a lot of stuff in the east and maybe even the south, and then they're going to have to promise they'll never join NATO, and maybe they'll meet somewhere in the middle there. But it depends what Russia wants. Russia's going to have to agree to something eventually, because this thing isn't going to get any better any faster. It really has ground to a halt, and it seems like there's a lot more weapons on the way. I don't know. They've lost so many tanks.
When you say weapons on the way, is this the Russians sending more weapons or the Ukrainians getting more defensive weapons?
The Ukrainians getting a lot more defensive weapons from the newer German anti-tank weapons to all of the U.S. drones that just got there. They weren't specific about they sent those like Switchblade drones, but they weren't specific about which size they sent. I think there's 2 or 3 sizes. This is this little bitty fucking drone, if it's the little one, that you like shoot out of some little bullshit cannon, and this thing can like just fly around, and they call it a kamikaze
Can
drone.
it shoot?
It's a missile that kind of loiters in the air for a long period of time, and then you fly it right into.
So it's like a single use drone.
Yeah, it's a missile. And the bigger they are, the more damage they do.
That seems hard
like,
to fuck up.
I think the little one is like a single use explosion that you'd like blow up a group of guys hiding in a hole with or something, or maybe a truck.
Tank.
Not a tank, but like a
don't
truck
give
like
anyone in Ukraine over 30 the controls to the destruction. The little
oh
machines.
no, I'm sorry.
We need
You're completely right.
We need gamers. We need Zoomers. We need younger millennials. Do not give this. Don't be like, hey, you're 58. You gotta go back and fight on the front line.
Right.
Give that guy a traditional
these things
guy.
need to be controlled by an Xbox control. Get XCal back on this thing.
He'll
be getting headshots with it. That's
he can
who we need
swing
to
the
take care
fate of the
this.
war.
I don't.
Ravage.
Oh, and then I saw they caught a male and female looter at a dead Ukrainian soldier's house, and they tied them to a fucking tree and pulled their pants down. And they were whipping this man and woman's ass so severely. They were screaming. Their ass was just red. It was just a red blur where their ass goes. I've saw so many. Apparently, like that's the thing they do there. And like,
should we adopt that? Should we adopt spanking looters and taping them to poles?
It's so widespread that it must be like a Ukrainian custom. It's like, oh, we caught a like you wake up and you look out the window and there's some guy tied up to a tree bare ass. And you're like, Steve, you been stealing again. like you just know, like I guess if somebody's bare ass.
Is it Christmas already?
and it's so funny because like they're always tied up with similar stuff. It's either zip ties or saran wrap.
That's terrific.
I'm seeing a lot of I saw a couple photos of like that horrible brown packing tape, like that packaging tape that you need so much of. It turns out it takes a comical amount of that to keep an adult man on a pole. And so like the zip ties, you'd see like, a reasonable amount of zip ties. This dude was forehead to toes, just just totally taped up. It's like, that guy's like, get it out of there.
I think maybe we even bet. I don't know. So people keep up with this sort of thing about, I think I've said that Trump's going to be the next president, like maybe a year or so ago. And man, that just looks like so and so more likely.
I'm seeing
dude, put some money down.
I'm listening.
They said that Trump's PAC has more money than the entire Republican and Democratic Party combined.
I believe it.
What are like the Vegas odds for Trump right now? Because so many people in 2016 made boatloads.
I don't need them to
throw
tell
like
me that Donald Trump
is
going to be the next president. And then you got like every time they keep trying to like go after Trump legally, and every time it just seems to fail. And once he's candidate Trump, they'll drop all that stuff, or at least they'll put it off. And if he wins, they'll just drop it. He'll be president for 4 more years, and I think he will.
Damn it, Trump isn't even Trump's the favorite to bet on, so you won't even make a huge amount of money.
He's going to, dude. Biden cannot speak, and like Kamala went over to Europe to like lay things down. Like, hey, we got a real big thing going on. Don't worry. Big USA, we're behind you. Apparently, it caused so much worry in Europe from Kamala's visit that Biden is going now. Biden Biden is going like 10 days after her on the same fucking trip. We don't know. All we saw, other than like speak to leaders, but when you saw her speak, oh my God, she's as bad as him off the cuff. She's like repeating these I can't remember what the phrase is that she repeated.
Yeah, I saw that clip. She was like, there is certainly significance to the passing of time. There is the passing of time carries significance. I saw that little clip. But
she's not dumb, and she's not she's a bad speaker is this problem there. She's not a good speaker, and she certainly didn't inspire confidence in the leaders that she went over there and spoke to. And Biden's not going to be able to do any better because he's literally diminished.
It's in the rock.
I didn't know what Sky News was like are they right wing, left wing? They're right wing for sure, because I saw, but it is foreign press, and I saw them do this whole thing like talking about Biden and the embarrassment that he is, and then they like played this clip, and it wasn't one of those montages that you might see on YouTube of him just messing up on a word, and then because those are often taken out of context, because when you speak a lot of words on camera, like you're gonna fuck up a small percentage, and after a while it adds up. Like, I get it.
Right.
It was just him like trying to do one thing. It was just like, here's an unedited clip of Joe Biden trying to talk to human beings. Go. And it's just like, man, he is struggling for a while. And then I saw an unrelated one today, because I was like looking at more Sky News stuff, trying to determine their right wing, left wing thing. Again, I don't know if I've already said very much right wing, but they played another clip of Biden, and he had forgotten who the Prime Minister of Australia was. And it was just,
I don't know it either.
Okay. I got you. I feel you. I don't know it off the top of my head either.
But
However,
I'm not president.
Also, I'm not right in the middle of some Australia business, right? Like if I went, hey Taylor, who's the Chancellor of Bulgaria, and you didn't know, it'd be like, yeah, I get it, man. I don't even know what they've got there.
Gregor Liptovic.
They might have a king there for all I know. But if you were right in the
Sounds
middle of
real, doesn't it?
but if you're right in the middle of like trade negotiations with Bulgaria, and like the Prime Minister of Bulgaria is in the room with you, and like you've been dealing with him all week, and he's just like, I just want to really thank the man that really brought all this together, and that's that fella from down under right there. Thank you, champ.
Thanks,
hold
champ.
On. That's funny. But I think Trump looks better off camera. I think removing him from social media has aided Trump, that the memory of Trump is better than the reality of Trump was. And I have a quote. They asked Trump what he would do if he was president right now with this in the Ukraine situation. And here it is, word for word. Well, what I would do is we would have tremendous military capability. And what we can do without planes, to be honest with you, without 44-year-old jets, what we can do is enormous. And we should be doing it. And we should be helping them to survive. And they're doing an amazing job. This doesn't answer the question. It just runs up.
I disagree with you, because I read that in his voice, and I was like, why are these people so biased? Like I can hear it in his voice.
I'm listening.
He made perfect sense there. They're like he's saying, if I were president, we'd be doing a lot more. And I'm not talking about with those 40-year-old jets, those MiGs that everybody's trying to like get in the hands of Ukrainians. I'm talking about with American 6th-generation firepower. That's what we have. But they're fighting hard, and they're doing things well.
Then I still don't like that. Him talking big, amping up how much we need to be involved in this conflict.
Well,
it could very easily become a global problem.
He said we should paint Chinese flags on our planes and bomb Russia.
That is insane.
Think it's the Chinese.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
He said that. He did say that.
That's retarded.
What you have to wonder is like
good God, that's retarded. That's what a dangerous thing to do. Like for the whole world is antagonize Russia and China like that.
What do you mean antagonize? It's starting World War III.
Yeah, it would start World War III.
It sounds, God, I hope it was a joke.
Jesus.
I really hope it was a joke. I think he said that to a fundraiser or something, or at a fundraiser or something.
It's not an appropriate joke for someone in Donald Trump's position to make.
Yeah, I agree.
When did he make it too? I didn't know that. I'm not going to defend it. I'm going to make it up more about it.
If I say 6 days into the war, I'm close.
I doubt he was joking.
Oh, if he said it recently, then it's like very defendable. I thought it was when he was the president. I thought he was like president of the United States, and he was like, hey, why can't we just like paint their flag on our plane and go on in there and just get our enemies to fight each other?
No, this was him at a fundraiser or something, but saying what like, why don't we try this?
It doesn't matter either way. I've allowed you to pull me into whataboutism anyway, and I should have stopped that immediately, because who fucking cares about Donald Trump and what Donald Trump does and how he speaks?
Well,
the president of the United States is Joe Biden.
Pause.
And that's who I'm going to talk about.
I didn't pull you into whataboutism. You launched with Trump is definitely going to be the next president, and I said, well, this is what Trump is really like.
And I don't like the term whataboutism. It seems like when people say that, they just don't like that they're being forced to reconcile two irreconcilable things. You know what I mean?
No, I was laughing.
Oh, you're solid. What I said wasn't funny, so it doesn't like matter. No, I totally. I don't even give Trump the credit of like that being a joke. Like I bet he was like talking big, being serious, and not realizing, or maybe realizing, because I'm sure a lot of his donors are like neocon pro, getting as involved in the conflict as possible.
Trump sometimes floats ideas. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kyle.
Yeah, go ahead.
That aren't good ones and shouldn't be held against him so much, right? Trump was like, maybe we should buy Greenland, right? Okay, apparently that's a stupid idea. But to be honest, I didn't hate it. What happens if we did? How much is Greenland? Let's talk. I don't know. Maybe it's a piece of valuable property that'd be good for him. I don't know. Trump said, what happens if we nuke a hurricane? Okay, turns out that's stupid. Also, I've wondered that.
Who among us hasn't been curious?
There's a YouTube channel for that. He really should have Googled it first. And the best part is the same YouTube channel that does, hey, what would happen if we nuked a hurricane? Has like 8 other videos. What if we nuked this, that, and the other? And he was going to answer like 3 more of his questions that night. He was going to want to nuke the Marianas Trench after that.
He was going to create another Panama Canal.
He needed to know how many lions
I saw an incredible YouTube video talking about bombing a hurricane. And after that, I saw the incredible physics involved in a slam dunk. You're not going to believe this, folks.
So I guess Trump asked questions that other presidents wouldn't have asked, but it wasn't like he was about to take action on them, and they should be viewed through that lens. And that's where I put the paint Chinese flag on American planes nonsense.
That's so.
If I were president, I would be like, I would ask questions like, hey, what's the maximum range of our missiles? Like, could we actually shoot the moon? Like I'm not gonna, but like, if I wanted to like shoot a nuke at the moon, could I? And then they'd be like, President Myers wanted to nuke the moon. It's like, I'd be like, no, I didn't want to. Well, I mean, I kind of. First of all, yeah, I do want to nuke the moon. New York Times. Thanks for printing it just like that.
I heard there's a Chinese flag on it. Can't have that.
Like, who doesn't? I don't want to hurt anybody, but last I heard, nobody lives there, and I got all these nukes, like almost 5,000 of them now.
That would solidify the space race, just like pulling up the ladder after us.
Did you
nuke the moon? no one else can go.
The Russians. 2 things about the space race. The Russians pulled Yuri, whatever the fuck, the first man in space, off of
Yuri Gagarin.
They like whitewashed him off the wall or whatever. Like,
are you serious? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's because he's He's like anti-Ukraine right now or something right now.
Yuri Gagarin is dead.
No. He's a very public figure.
You're talking about the first man in space?
Yeah.
He's dead.
Well, the first man that they claimed.
I'm very confused.
The first man in space is definitely dead.
Yeah, he didn't live, right? On re-entry, maybe.
Yeah, he's that.
Yuri Gagarin is the guy who, like, all the Soviets were standing around his shriveled, burnt-up corpse.
Well, then the one that lived.
He wasn't the first guy in space.
That's Elon
Yuri
Musk
Gagarin is the one who has that cool statue that looks like
alive.
Retro.
I'm gonna look. I don't know his name.
Yeah, Yuri died. They're getting rid of Yuri. What did he do other than go to space first? He didn't invade Ukraine. There wasn't a Ukraine when he was doing that, was there?
Well, the land was there.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, nationally, I'm talking about.
The first man to go to space apparently was John Glenn.
It's irrelevant. They took some spaceman off of a wall because of some Ukraine thing. But the other thing, there's a TV show that I haven't gotten into yet. I think it might be on Apple TV. There's a whole slew of things.
Getting rid of a guy who died in 1968, first man in space, whitewashing him. That's absurd.
They have a show about, like, what if the space race had continued. If it hadn't ended with sort of the first moon landing, because it kind of petered out. There were like maybe half a dozen more moon landings or something like that after that, and then it kind of petered out. But I think the show like is in the 80s maybe or the 90s when we're like colonizing the moon or maybe even fighting on the moon. It looks pretty cool. I can't remember what it's called. It's like maybe For All Mankind or One Small Step, something like that.
Do guns work in space?
Yeah.
They do.
I can't think of any reason why they wouldn't work.
I was going to ask.
I'm worried about the flame, the spark. The like. Does the strike do its job? When you hit the back of a bullet, does it explode without oxygen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You don't. You've got oxidizers in there.
That's what I thought.
As far as I know, there's no reason why the gun shouldn't work just fine in space.
Because they work underwater.
Yeah, they
So they
do.
don't
Yeah,
need
yeah, you
air.
don't need. Yeah, they should work in a vacuum just fine. So I don't see why they wouldn't work in outer fucking space.
Would you
Gravi-
want normal bullets? Like, what would be more ideal in
Why not?
space?
I don't know specifically.
If you're
about,
asking me, Taylor, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be more entertaining. I would like to see that.
I was leaning towards lasers.
I'm going towards weightless grappling.
why would lasers be better?
Because my understanding from TV is that there is infinite ammo.
Where's the, but you're gonna need a big battery pack somewhere, right?
No. I've seen the
Yeah.
same TV shows. That's not true.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does have some application, but I would think it would be more to blind your enemies because
I think you'd have to hold it very accurately for a long period of time, like a magnifying glass, until it burned through your spaceship.
well those
Dude.
naval
We should
those
have brought
naval
guns. The Russians brought real guns.
The Russians have guns.
Don't
Meanwhile,
fire until you see
like,
the reds of her
stand still,
eyes.
you asshole.
everyone
Like
shine
Emperor.
at that one.
All we're doing is keeping him warm.
The Russians brought guns and mirrors. We're fucked.
Yeah.
Have you seen that the naval
Mirror.
laser cannons they've got like the US Navy's laser cannon gun
Tell me
thing?
about them.
Yeah, I think
It's
you showed
wild.
us.
It is not a like, oh look, it's warming him up. It's like they go 3, 2, 1, and then it explodes a boat. Like it's
How
pretty
long do they
absurd.
have to hold it on there, or it's just
No, it
instantaneous?
goes boom, and
Is
like
it from the heat of the laser?
Yeah.
What? That's horrifying.
Yeah, and I remember that the video I watched was them showing North Koreans this who had like escaped North Korea, so they're borderline cave people. Like they just found out about like Coca-Cola like a week ago, and and so then they show them a laser cannon. And,
The natural progression.
and at first they're like, well, yeah, that's a big cannon you got there, but we have big cannons in Russia. And they're like, no, that's a beam of fucking light. And they're like, oh no. Like, it's just so much. They're like, that was just a beam of light. He's like, so it's just instant. And they're like, yeah. And you've got all the ammo you don't run out of ammo. They're like, yeah, it costs $1 a shot.
But we're charging 1,000 because
Those things are wild. No, I don't see any reason why you would just want a gun. Just want like whatever gun that you would want here, like just a gun. I don't know,
I
submachine
watched
gun or a rifle. Or
quick
something.
video on the system Kyle talked about, and basically they took out a drone. He's like, it works like a laser pointer, and you just get it on the drone, and then it fell out of the sky.
They've got different ones. The one I saw is huge. There's one where it goes into like one of the cargo planes. It's such a long like mechanism, the laser thing, whatever that is. I don't know how lasers work. And then the one on the ship was real big too, and it was shooting at like a floating target of like steel plates like floating out in the ocean.
That's what it might have been the same one. Although the one the one I saw is like half the size of a car. I don't know what huge is. Maybe that's
No,
smaller.
this looked huge. I mean, it was mounted on like a battleship or something like that. It looked like one of their bigger, I don't know, the rest of their cannons. I don't know anything about naval guns either.
They're pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, the one I shot is the smallest of naval guns. That the Bofors cannon thing.
Is that the one with you in the meme?
Yeah. But no, war has been fucking ridiculous. They're saying 10,000 Russians dead. That's a number that's looking more and more likely because the Ukrainian number is like 17,000 now. The Russian number is like 800, maybe 1,000, and like the U.S. intelligence number is getting much closer to like 10,000 now. So
That's a lot of dead Russians.
That's a lot of dead Russians,
That
and I
is.
keep hearing like about different things that they're doing with the bodies. How they're like sending them to Belarus first, and then like from there they're sending them back. How they're cremating them in some instances. Because the biggest lie they're telling right now is the guys who are dead and or MIA or POWs. They're quickly fixing the paperwork to make it seem like, oh, those weren't Russian soldiers. Those are, well, yeah, that's Yuri. But he doesn't work for the army. What are you doing Yuri? What are you doing over there in that uniform?
Why are they doing that?
Because now they didn't lose a soldier. Now just some Russian guy went over to Ukraine and got lost. He must have.
Darn it to heck, they do that all the time.
There was that group of Russians that were like, they're making us sign a paper that says we're not Russian soldiers, that we quit 3 weeks ago. We've been in this barn for 2 days. We're in Ukraine. I'm wearing a uniform.
Wait, but why are those guys getting kicked out if they're not dead?
They're not getting kicked out. They're signing fake paperwork so that if they die, they'll have it on hand.
Okay,
They've
so
been abandoned in so
okay.
many situations, right? Like because of the logistic situations. Like there's just guys out on their own. There's guys that just walked away from their dude. If I was in one of those tanks and like maybe there's 8 of us together, all of us tank buddies, and like 7 of the other tanks got shot by some psychopath with $1 million American missile, and they're just popping them off like candy over there because America. I'm getting the fuck out of this. First of all, did you know Russian tanks don't have heaters or air conditioning?
Not
you know
heaters?
how cold it is over there?
Oh,
It's probably freezing.
You're right.
Oh, I'm sorry. They do have heaters. The problem is you got to have the tank running to run the heater. And tanks are like the least fuel economic vehicle on the planet. It's a tank.
They don't look.
It's the last concern they have. Like on the checklist of things that you want in a tank.
It should be on the list, it seems, but okay.
It must be.
It's just last.
They're heavy.
They're like, sir, it gets 60 miles to the gallon, but it's a Volvo. Once you make it heavy,
Prius.
They suck.
At that mileage.
I would get out of my shit and I'd walk away, and then I'd just be one more like Russian tank, and me and my 2 or 3 buddies would be off in the woods somewhere.
You probably know this. That happened in Iraq a lot. So in Iraq, Americans figured out that they could take out tanks with their air power, right? Previously, they thought it was tank to tank or whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, these tanks show up on, I'm making it up, but you know, the black and white, and they show up as white. Maybe that's infrared, or maybe that's something. Okay. They show up on the infrared really, really well because the tanks cool at a different rate than the sand does. So at night, it's just like, bam, there's the tanks. And the jets were taking them out so easily. They called it tank plinking, which is a little casual about what's happening here. You know, you're killing 8 men inside of a tank, and it's just plink, plink, plink. But that is the nature of air battles.
I think it's 4 or 5 in most of the, because the Iraqis I think had T-64s. I watched a whole long thing about Operation Desert Storm the other day, and I almost messaged you. I don't get too specific, but the person who was in a tank over there, I wanted to know like which battalion or whatever, or which like tank army he was with, because they were like, and then the 3rd tank battalion led by Colonel Stryker went over the hill, and like.
That's a cool general name.
Dude, it was so cool to go through and see some
you know 2 things. His rank and his name.
I knew as soon as I named my son Colonel, he'd be the best general the world has ever seen. General Colonel Stryker.
Iraqis apparently left their tanks because they saw them as just big billboards to kill here. And it would make sense that the Russians do that now too.
A lot of them were. They killed so many of those Iraqis on that road. It was wild. It was wild. I saw this one instance where there was this Republican guard defended position, and it had trenches. It had trenches in the front, and instead of like getting out of our tanks and fighting those Iraqis in the trenches, those hardline Republican guards guys, they sent forward the like army like bulldozer tanks and just bulldozed over the trench long ways and buried like a few hundred Iraqis alive and just kept going. They're like, they're in the trench, sir. They won't come out. Yeah, send the bulldozers. Yeah, bury them all. And they just did. They just buried them all and kept going.
Goodness.
And they can't leave because they don't have an air force, and America does, right?
They can't leave. They buried them alive.
They couldn't. No, I'm saying
I guess he's saying
couldn't flee the trench.
Like it would be very hard to kill me by steamroller because I feel like I can dodge a steamroller.
Yeah.
Oh no!
but there's the problem. Those tanks would.
Don't imagine that
they're like that guy in Austin Powers. No. 100 yards away.
I don't know anywhere to go. That thing was fun. And then the American tanks had thermal sights, and there was a big sandstorm, and the Iraqis are literally like looking through a crosshair trying to like see an American tank. And just in every instance where American tanks and Iraqi tanks shot at each other, it was really fun to watch the video because they were like 87 Iraqi vehicles were destroyed. No American vehicles were lost. And they're like, and then they radioed back, and the general was amazed. So he said, "Keep going." And so they did. And like every instance, they just completely won without taking any casualties whatsoever. I don't know if the Iraqis ever shot an American tank.
There was some
They
friendly
hit one.
fire incidents.
It was all friendly fire. Every few minutes, it'd be like, then the Americans shot the Brits for the third time that day.
Oh, geez.
And that's
Sorry,
when
Brits.
the Brits decided they were no longer going to have the Americans on their left flank, and they made a hard right toward Kuwait City. At one point, the Brits had to like tear away and get the fuck away from like
yeah,
the
Brits.
third
You have
American,
my apologies. Good call.
blah blah blah. Yeah, they were.
Do you ever like read those? Because on like
Oh,
Wikipedia or go ahead.
They hoisted their flags on the tanks because, like at this point, the Brits had been friendly fired 4 times that day. So every British vehicle and tank hoisted the Union Jack and headed east.
Good call.
Look at that! It's our ally, the Confederates.
Oh man!
Have you ever seen that like meme? It was like someone took a picture of a Union Jack, and they're like just disgusted by the racism in my neighborhood, and it's like that's not what you think it is. But you know how they have those summations of battles like on Wikipedia and stuff where it'll say the forces. Do you ever go to like, or have you ever seen the really lopsided ones, like the Australian War against the Emu War?
Well,
where the Australians tried to defeat a bunch of emus, and there was it was decisive emu victory.
An emu is a very tall, flightless bird, right?
It is.
Yeah, so
and they roundly
there's
defeated
been a couple of
Australia.
instances. There's been a couple instances where like they tried to exterminate them, and like for a number of reasons, it was a complete failure. And there was always more emus, but the army kept like wasting lots of money. And I think there were actually some injuries and maybe even a death along the way. Look, you get that many men out there in machines, and you send them to go do a thing. Somebody falls off, gets ran over, or whatever. So there are casualties in the emu war. I would assume.
I hope there were more casualties on the emu side.
I mean, there's casualties in the war against gingivitis. Shit happens, right? like don't be afraid of gingivitis, though. It's not. I mean, brush, but
Yeah.
There's an article about the emu war with like the subsections where it's like the battle itself, and then the bottom section is defeat. Talking about how they could not eradicate the emus, and they're like, and we're frankly confused why they'd want to. The emu is on the coat of arms of Australia. Like, why would? But anyway, the other one I was thinking of was, I think it was like the British fighting the Zulu in like the 1820s.
That was the example I was going to give you.
Yeah, and it was like, and it shows the like stats, and you read it, and it's like, well, the British brought 300 men with guns. And the Zulu brought 11,000 men, primarily armed with hide shields and spears. And it's like, before you even read further, you're like, this is going to go poorly. And like it's thousands of dead Zulu. And I think it was like 32 dead, 8 wounded or something.
I figured there were 300 dead. No, literally won.
Yeah, it was like a massacre because you're fighting someone who doesn't have guns.
Well, it's not just that. This is a real famous story. Yeah.
What kind of guns did they have? Were they like, if it's a lever action, I see how they could do really well.
No.
If it's a musket,
wow. So they had bolt action rifles, real high power. They might have been those 303 ones, but don't quote me on that. It's but they're not magazine fed. I believe you have to take the round and put it in the gun and close the bolt and then fire. That's my memory of those rifles from a movie that I watched over and over as a kid called Zulu. My historical knowledge of this event is based on that movie. So, but I'm
after
pretty
this,
sure,
I'll explain 300.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they nailed it.
Okay.
So, like a few weeks prior, the Zulu had wiped out a much larger British force in the open. They had overwhelmed them and swarmed them. And so from that force, they had captured a number of rifles, maybe a couple hundred rifles. They were using those rifles to fire at the mission down below from the hilltops. And it was a mission commanded by a couple of officers. In the movie, one of them is played by, who's Batman's butler?
Alfred.
Oh, Alfred. My bad.
Lost the wine.
Who plays Alfred?
Who plays Alfred?
Michael Caine.
Hey, I didn't know if it was a trick. I didn't want to answer.
Yeah, so like very, very young Michael Caine is in this blonde-haired Michael Caine. That's how old the movie is. And basically they just defend this mission over the course of several days from wave after wave of Zulu. and they like set up those firing lines where you got like guys in the front kneeling and standing behind a line behind them standing and a line behind them on an elevated position, and you've got like a commander going, line 1, fire, line 2, and like now line 1's reloading, right, and line 2 is firing now, and so it's just like broom, broom, broom. And the Zulu are coming from every direction, and like they're coming from behind us now, and like it gets hand to hand. So there's bayonets and spear fighting, and the fucking officers are pulling out their 6-shooters and stuff. It's a fun movie, and they kill so many black people that after a while you're like, whew. This is why they occasionally mix in a few different races these days in movies, right? Because it looks bad after you kill the 8,000th black.
I mean,
man.
it would be very confusing if they sprinkled in a bunch of redheads or a Japanese guy. Yeah, it'd be like,
they just
would
wouldn't
it,
make
Taylor?
that movie?
Would it be confusing if in a period piece you introduced a race that shouldn't really be there by any means? Or
if I'm watching a movie about the Zulu and it's some Scottish-looking guy like, "Oi, I'm Mugumbe, the leader of the Zulu," I'm gonna be like, "This movie sucks," and I'm not watching it.
So like one of the key parts of that movie is the chant the Zulu do. There's so many of them that they're stomping, and when they hit those spears, it's like thunder, and they have this chant. It's like, I can't do it, but it's like, whoa, whoa, and like when you hear like thousands of them doing it, it's incredibly intimidating.
Yeah,
just bagpipes.
It's like the
pop in the back of it, just. What the fuck? That's right.
That's right. I'm here to defend my homeland.
I imagined him as like a rogue Scotsman who's had enough of the Brits and he's joined Zulu.
It's all Zulu and one Scottish guy.
So let me tell you about a show that I watched in one sitting yesterday called Vikings Valhalla, which is the sequel to the Vikings TV show that you guys may have gotten into, maybe not, about Thor Ragnarok or Thor Ragnarsson, I think was his name. And you know, it's like four or five seasons. You follow Ragnarsson and his kids, and it was real good. Especially the early seasons. So they did a sequel to that. First season came out, and Kattegat was like the sort of the main city that Ragnar was like running and everything. It was kind of the capital of like Vikingdom, almost, it seemed. And when you get to this 100 years later, the leader of Kattegat is a black woman. there's a black the Viking Jarl, which is like their king, is a black woman now. She runs the city. And I was like,
just like in history.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then and then she's got like a bunch of like lady badasses who are like the only ones, I guess, who like defend the Viking stronghold at home now. It's like all women.
So it's not a Viking show anymore.
It was so silly. Like I completely like pushed that aside, and I was just like, every time they went back to the black lady who runs the Viking fucking kingdom, I'm just like,
that doesn't make any sense.
No, it didn't make any sense at all.
That takes you out of it. Like, you're watching a period piece historically. Like, why would it doesn't make any sense.
I started Googling and like, not only that, but apparently the person that this is named after is like a real Viking person who was a white man, obviously, because, you know, he's a Viking.
He was a Viking. Yeah,
he was a Viking. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that show was, but I watched it last night and absolutely despised it. It was fucking dumb.
Man, you forced your way through to the end.
I didn't realize.
I won't do that. If I start disliking a show at all, I'll just move on.
I didn't realize how much I hated it until like the very last episode. And at this point, I've almost pushed it back out of my mind. But don't watch Vikings Valhalla. That was garbage. I also watched the final season of Kingdom of Heaven. Or no, The Last Kingdom.
Yeah,
I always
don't spoil that, because I'm realizing now I started watching it again as like my late night or my workout show, and I'm like on episode 6 or 7 of season 1.
Yeah,
and it's making me realize, like, I guarantee the first time I was watching this, I was like playing video games or not paying attention at all. Like, I wasn't giving it my undivided attention.
Yeah,
I think I only got to like season 1.5, but it's good. I'm gonna keep forcing my way through. Not forcing, it's good.
The Last Kingdom was so good when it came out. I remember Game of Thrones was still coming out, and I remember saying, like, if you guys like Game of Thrones, check out this show. It's like Game of Thrones light without the magic. It's like a more grounded version. There's a lot of political intrigue and fighting. It's quasi historical. It's based on real people, but this is their fictionalized lives, obviously, and it's fun. Lots of sword fighting. Seems like the budget's okay. They can get more than 100 people together at a time. But there's a lot of those scenes, where it's like quick cut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you've never shown me more than 15 people at a time, bro. There's supposed to be 1,000. You show me 15 here and then 15 over there and 15 over here. Like, I think it's the same 15 guys. You're just changing clothes. The last season was okay. What I will say is, like, finally a Netflix show made it to the 5th season and a finale. At the end, there's kind of like this sort of flashback, and you kind of get like this everything that's happened kind of moment, at the very end of the show. And it's like, yeah, okay, you took me on a journey. Cool. And you got to the end, Netflix, because they cancel so many things.
Yeah.
I can't remember all of the projects, but there's been a couple things that I really enjoyed. And they just, the Mind Hunters.
They cancel
whatever, the FBI thing.
Like, they cancel so much shit that they spend a lot of money on after one season. It makes you wonder, like, what research are they doing about their consumer base that would make them drop tens of millions on a show that's going to get canceled after a season?
No,
like, they do that all the time.
We don't know their business model, though. Like for all we know, it's incredibly cheap to make the first season of a show, and way more expensive to continue on for a second season.
It could be, or it could be maybe their market research shows, well, all we really need to do is have a constant stream of new and upcoming things. It doesn't matter if it's consistent, because by the time that's over, there will be 3 new things to look forward to, and just constantly keep people on the hook.
Falling for sunk cost fallacies, and they're
Could
like,
be.
oh, we tried a thing, we don't think it's worth doing twice.
Yeah,
and it'd be so interesting if they released their data of like the actual viewership, like by category, by stuff. Obviously, they're not going to, but that'd be super interesting.
Did you guys watch the show our guest made from like 3 weeks ago?
Dude, I didn't want to like throw him under the bus, but like that was so.
Did you watch it?
I quit when I got to the part where he is giving himself like a starring role in the show, and he's a terrible actor.
I watched the whole thing. What
is the name of the show again? I totally forgot.
I'm not good at that, and I'm sorry. It captured my attention. I'll tell you, it was like rapid paced, like this topic, that topic, this topic, this is happening, that's happening. We're always moving from one thing to the next. It was like an ADD or ADHD like fantasy show, the way that it rolled on. It was also a little hard to follow sometimes, and the casting choices were interesting. And like, you have like, I think if this guy diets and exercises for a while, he could get to dad bod. Why is he a superhero? I don't know. But that was some of the casting choice. The Batman guy, I was thinking.
Oh yeah, that guy too. No, yeah. The casting was based on the extreme difficulty he had getting anybody to be a part of this project, I'm sure.
Guardians of Justice is the name.
Yes.
And then in the end, like I tried to follow it. It was something about like, it turns out a dude was gay and he was trying to hide it all along or something. Superman's gay, that's for sure. And he, partly why he killed himself, so he wasn't found out. I don't know. But it was dreadful. Like I said, I made it to the part where there he is and all his autistic glory, playing like the genius who invented kryptonite or whatever, and he's like being all weird, and I think he's got a scar on his face like a James Bond villain. He's like a James Bond villain type character, and he's just an awful actor, of course. And I like, as soon as I saw that, I watched like 10 seconds of him act, and I turned it off, and I was like, let's dodge the bullet. Dodge the bullet here.
Wait, he's the live action actor for the Superman guy?
No, Superman,
for a different person.
For a
like
different person.
Maybe Lex Luthor-ish.
Sure, close, yeah. Yeah, it's awful.
Oh, do you know who Leah Thomas is?
I do not.
Not right away now. So
Leah Thomas is a swimmer who has won, I think, an NCAA title. Now she's so in swimming. If you're top 16, you're All-American in your event, and if you're number 1, you are a champion. And this woman is a champion in her thing, and she may turn out to be a multi-time champion. This article I said she's a favorite to win 2 events and has a shot at 3. She is a trans swimmer, And everyone's very upset that this woman who was a man for most of her life is now a woman and she's just kicking ass in swimming. I see this and think, I missed an opportunity. I could have done this.
Could be famous, more famous than you are. The best female swimmer of all time.
I think I would really look at I would do this like in high school level. Me would look at the women's Olympic champions and Olympic records and just pick off the ones that I could have set. I was an elite female athlete, and I missed an opportunity.
I will not rest until women's sports are destroyed.
Did you see what the governor of Florida did in response to that big man winning, the gold medal?
This is the collegiate swimmer in the NCAA championship. No, what did he do? I read he did something, but
so second place. Well, because second place is from Florida, and Governor DeSantis said he had a press
true first place.
Yeah. Great. Governor DeSantis had a press conference.
Second place. Don't devalue my potential accomplishment.
I'm not going to tell the story. You've interrupted me.
I'm sorry, Kyle. He did
I'm tired of it. Y'all been interrupting me all day. I don't want to talk. Y'all go ahead. I'll sit here and be quiet. Y'all want to talk real bad. I'll be quiet.
I feel bad. And I'm going to take all the heat for this. Taylor will get
Woody, did you know that that Claude Giroux got traded?
No, but I really hear what the Florida governor did.
What did the Florida governor do, Kyle? Clearly, you want to tell us.
He said silver place won. Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
He said silver. He
said bullshit. Second place won. He says she's the winner.
I think Governor DeSantis lives in a world of participation trophies and not true champions like I do. I think this guy hands out gold medals to silver medalists. I, on the other hand, see her true accomplishment in that she is the best kind of female swimmer right now.
She's a big one.
that is so ridiculous that she could just dominate the whole category. Like, that's not fair. Like, I saw the photo that the three ladies had like on the podium where like the first place trans person was there, and then like the second, third, and fourth girls all did like their own little picture. And I saw people getting 2, 3, so upset about that. 2, 3, and 4 did like their own little group photo, and there's a photo of like the three of them doing it, and then just the trans swimmer standing there, a head taller than everyone, wide shoulders, big hands for scooping the water. Like, it's just not fair. It's not fair.
Scooping the water.
Jesus Is that not what you say? Scooping, swimming,
I'm
paddling?
looking at her picture right now. Can you share this picture, please?
She's wearing a jacket over her shoulders when I saw her to like hide how gigantic she is. They booed her when they called her name. I think she won by like 18.
It's not fair.
It's not big.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You'd have some stiff competition in your fantasy world, Woody.
I don't know if I can beat her.
You got what? But that big bitch.
She doesn't seem to have boobs. I don't see them anyway.
Why would she have boobs?
I don't know.
Are you saying a woman needs breasts to be a woman? Only big-breasted women are real women, according to Woody.
Despicable.
Fucking, this man is gatekeeping womanhood over here with a bra size inspection.
Yeah.
Apparently, when she won, she got subdued applause.
Yeah,
of course, because it's not fair.
I think she won by a tremendous margin, like maybe 18 seconds or something.
That seems like, I don't know. That'd be a big margin.
Like, anyone can look at that situation and be like, "Oh, this is clearly
it's a
incredibly unfair."
Race, right? 500 meters.
Yeah. So
18 would be dumb.
She won by a second and a half.
Oh, she's not even that great.
I think that's a lot of time in swimming.
Yeah, but in the considering, it seems like DeSantis was heartless about it. He was like, so they put a man up there and he blows a girl out of the water, and it's like, well, let's be real, that's what it is. People want to get all hurt, all like offended. They put a man up there and beat her girl. No, I don't think so. She's a Floridian. She's a champion, and we're making a proclamation. She won. And like I think they're making it like official somehow. There's like
She gets the key to the city.
Like when he says we're making a proclamation, he doesn't just mean like I'm saying it right now. I'm proclaiming it. He's like write it fucking down. Like ring the bell twice. Check the box. Like they're like
I am sending National Guard to the home of that trans person to steal back.
Oh, I'd love that if somehow they went that route. Like that's not your trophy. We will send law enforcement.
And we will be sending male police officers.
And this transgender woman finds herself saran wrapped to a pole with a red ass.
That's what you got.
Ukrainian justice.
Yeah, it's I don't think anybody likes that. Like it's clear that that's absurd. That's just absurd.
There are some people out there who act like it's totally fair, above board. Like I've unironically seen people be like, well, they have limits on the testosterone that they can have, and once the testosterone is equalized, then there's no reason not to. And it's like, oh, tell me you've never looked into this without telling me you've never looked into this.
Yeah,
like, people, so you went through puberty as a man, you got big hands, you got big shoulders, you have no breasts, you have less drag, you're way stronger, like bigger feet for kicking everything.
It's the angle of the legs coming out of the hips is a completely different thing. The amount of power that they can create. A male figure skater can spend what I saw the diagram last night, right? Reddit educating me once again. I think a male figure skater can do that jumping thing and then spend 4 times. Like a woman just cannot do that physically. They were like, yeah, but a woman can do this, and it's like a woman incredibly flexibly putting her leg up above her head because their hips are so flexible. But like the heart is completely different. Like the muscle fibers are different, and there's more of them. Obviously,
I didn't expect that.
Oh yeah.
So I was watching this thing saying that in medicine right now, there's kind of a revolution about how they're treating women in medicine. That historically they just considered them men with a hormone deficiency, right? And in my head, I'm like, well, I mean, aside from a few critical changes, aren't they? Am I wrong on this? You know, if a woman has a shoulder injury, do we treat her differently than a dude? Maybe. I don't. But apparently, there's some pretty core differences that I wasn't aware of.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think it's just it's the lifelong thing of testosterone. You know, the denser bones and the bigger lungs and heart and the different shaped rib cage and pelvis.
Even faster, men have faster response time.
Well, I mean, it's going to vary, right? It's like you're going to. I wonder what like the best. It doesn't matter. In any case, it's a huge advantage to be a man.
I have female hips. So
not any sport.
I should be in this race.
Well, not gymnastics.
Not gymnastics and figure skating.
Well, actually, in female gymnastics, no. Male gymnastics obviously has to be men because there's not a woman on the planet strong enough to hold themselves up in that T pose the way those jacked 5'2" guys do.
I bet you're right because that's really hard and a lot of men can't. Can a woman do the Iron Cross?
Is that what it's? What a cool name for a workout.
Yeah, but I think that's just one corner of gymnastics. In any case, like it's nonsense to have a man go out there and compete with women. In the end, I don't care.
Kind of defeats a lot of the purpose of competition.
Well,
I'll say the entire purpose of the competition.
Or fucking keep it up. Like do this for another generation. Let's see how many dudes are like ballsy enough to be like, dude, I get a scholarship. Yeah, but you got to wear a dress. No, you don't. He's like,
no, you don't.
He's like, look at me. I'm a woman. like I just did it. I just became the 3rd best female athlete at Georgetown. Like that.
On a rocket from 500th overall man to first
whatever,
overall woman.
You know, like if you're already like if you're a good high school athlete, chances are you're like a very, very good collegiate like lady athlete, right?
Oh, dude,
am I crazy about this?
Like I remember,
a lot of sports.
Oh, you're right. Like when I was 14, I think I was 13. They had us do like an exhibition game. Nobody was watching. It was just like a practice game. They were like, all right, you guys, and you know, we're all 13-year-old boys. They're like, you're going to play the 18-year-old women's team, like girls team. Mm-hmm. And it was the highest level like they can play at. And we were all like, oh, like the highest level. Cause like, oh, I know my friend Steve, he plays for the AAA Junior Blues. Like I'm imagining like that level of skill and they're 18, 5 more years. It was like unreal how much better our team was than theirs. It wasn't close. And that adds into the fact that every single time I would see one of our forwards skate up, they would have to pull back and be like, oh, wait, there's no hitting allowed. And then they would just gently steal the puck and go score. And that's the way the whole game went. Like, their shots I was saving was like, that's way slower than a 13-year-old boy's shot. Like, they're muffins floating in at you. And it just wasn't fair. And that was a 5-year gap and like very key years. So it's just beyond unfair.
I Googled the Iron Cross thing. I was curious, like, has any girl ever done it? Apparently not. No woman has ever done the Iron Cross, but some badass gymnasts, and they're out there, have done it with like mildly bent arms, like they're close.
Yeah.
That's such an impressive pose to hold.
I couldn't do it.
I feel like what percentage of people can do that?
Well, of course, we can't do it. We don't do but if we set out to do it, we could do it. That's what matters. I guarantee that if any of the three of us goal was to do a fucking T-pose or whatever it's called by this time next year, we'd be knocking it the fuck out. Meanwhile, you could go find a little girl who's 7 and be like, you're to save the planet. You're chosen one. Your entire life's mission will be to do a T-pose for 5 fucking seconds. Kyle did. Yeah, the thing that Kyle did on a whim one year. That's when
he was bored, and so he decided to work towards it.
Yeah, there aren't many women who can do muscle ups either. I haven't. My ceiling's too low to really work on muscle ups. Like,
do you know
my
what the
squat rack is near
is?
The ceiling fan. The world record for muscle ups.
It was so low that I was intrigued.
Wait, what? What is it?
It was like 50 or something.
That's a shit ton.
Okay,
I want to see the form, because like if you look, you can go to some CrossFit guy who does like 200 pull-ups in a minute.
I watched him do them.
Okay,
he did them.
Okay. Well, I'll trust that. And yeah, all right.
He looks like he's so lean. It's so fucking, he looks like Athlete X, but like more yoked. Like he's that level of cut, but like he looks silly. But he was just cranking them out, and I think the record was like 48 or something. Like something like that in your head. It's like, shit. Doesn't take long to get there. Like it's just extreme hard thing for like a couple minutes, and you've got the world record.
Every so often, I'll see like a completely jacked fitness model looking dude who apparently just goes to like kids pull-up bars and makes up workouts.
Yeah.
And you see him on YouTube, and they're always cheered on with cheers I don't understand. Like, go Kyle! Kyle's paying taxes over here. Kyle's paying taxes. I'm like,
he's reaming it out. He's reaming it out, Play-Doh style. Oh, that's a Big Dipper.
Like, I don't understand you cheering, but okay.
Speaking of cheering, but all right. So Taylor, there's a UFC fighter. If you want like to get a little bit into UFC, there's this new guy who's like really unproven. He's from a different organization called Paddy the Baddy. He's this British kid. And he's like 18 years old or something. He's very young, probably much older, but to me, he looks like a kid. And
27.
And he's fucking hilarious. Like the crowd loves him so much. Like I didn't know anything about him. I had heard his name before. Like, oh yeah, Paddy the Baddy. It's a cool name, right? And but he goes to, it's the fight before his, and it's this girl named Meatball McMahon or something like that, who I also didn't know.
I like it.
She's the one who did that spinning back elbow and sent that black girl to the fucking shadow realm.
Dude, that fight. So Kyle sent the like a highlight of it, and it was pretty longish. I don't know how. I'm going to call it 2 minutes. Usually, when you see a fight highlight, you're like, "Ooh, fighter A is whooping on fighter B. I'm about to see a knockout." These girls were whipping on each other. I didn't know which one was going to be the highlight. Because like that one, nice hit, back nice counter, nice hit. It was a very good fight until the end.
So she goes to do her post-fight interview, right? She just killed this bitch. It was one of those knockouts where it's like the camera doesn't go to the opponent ever again. It's like you see her drop the girl, and then it's like, all right, for like maybe she shit herself. Like we'll never know. They just didn't put the camera back on her. It was bad. And she gets up there and she's like says some stuff with her awful British accent about how she killed this bitch. And then she goes like, "Who's ready for Paddy the Baddy?" That's all I care about. And the crowd's like, "Yeah, we all want Paddy the Baddy." And she, I wish I could remember the cheer she did. It was like she went "Oh, Patty the Batty," and the whole crowd of like 30,000 people goes like they know that cheer, and they all go, "Oh, Patty the Batty," and so like then Patty comes out like 10 minutes later, and his intro music is dun 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 dun. It's close to the Mortal Kombat music, but it's a little off, and he's coming out like playing the imaginary bongos the whole way to the music. And the crowd's losing their shit. He's got that ridiculous blonde mop on, and the crowd's wearing them too. Bear in mind, this is a guy who makes $12,000 a fight. If it to show, he gets 12,000 to show up, and 12 more if he wins. Okay, this is his second UFC fight ever, and they're there for him. He's the people's main event. I stopped watching. I didn't even watch the main event. It was awful. I watched like a couple minutes.
You watched
like,
Patty the Batty.
This is terrible. I watched Patty the Batty. He comes out, and he's in a little trouble at first. And then he like judo throws this guy like something out of a James Bond movie and chokes him the fuck out. It was beautiful. And the crowd again loses their shit. He runs and like jumps out of the cage. And then the Megan Meatball McMahon girl who was like freaking out for him earlier when he was doing his intro, she's sitting next to Dana White. He's allowed her to come out. And he's like, she's chugging a beer over there next to me, losing her mind when Patty comes out. And you go back and watch the intro. You can watch it on YouTube. And you know he's coming out, dun 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 dun, and Megan's like over there, yeah, like she's going crazy.
She should always fight before him.
When he like gets the win, and he's like, first of all, he does some crazy silly little dance, but then she runs and jumps into the cage with him and celebrates with him in the cage. It was great. They're clearly like teammates.
It looks like
friends.
he has
That's
a quote
cool.
after a fight where he said, "I want to fight Mark Zuckerberg."
Yeah, his Instagram got banned, and Zuckerberg owns Instagram. So he challenged Zuckerberg to a fight.
Oh,
I'm
is
taking
that
this
the
guy.
background? Oh, I see.
Yep.
Apparently, this guy. So I'm not that good at evaluating fighters. I can evaluate two guys against each other, but his level of competition is apparently very low. He fought tougher guys before he was in the UFC, and they're just feeding him chumps. And we'll see where this goes because he's winning. He's getting attention. You can't feed him chumps forever. Who was the really handsome guy who did flips? And he never cursed. You're going to know him when I say his name. He was young. He looked like a model. Karate.
Sage Cliff or something like that.
Sage Northcutt?
Something like Sage Northcutt or Northcliffe or something like that. The beautiful man who's like a Christian fella. Yeah,
it is Sage Northcutt. This guy, can you pull up a picture of Sage Northcutt, Zach? This guy looked amazing, but he wasn't that good a fighter.
He looks like he's made in a lab.
Yeah, he went to another organization, and after they were done with him, they needed to rebuild that guy in a lab. He got hit in the jaw. It looked like something from a sci-fi movie when he got hit. He got ruined by that punch to the face. I see where you draw the comparison there. People keep saying like, fight somebody in the top 10. He's like,
that's not even a good picture.
That's a terrible picture.
That's his worst day.
Yeah, this is him like with a
this
year
is him
off.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. He's so big. No, I think his somebody was like, why don't you fight this guy? He's ranked 12th, and he's like, for $12,000, you want me to fight that guy? Absolutely not. You have to come back in here with a better contract. Hey, I'll fight whoever you want. You have to pay me to fight him, though. Yeah, there you go.
His father was a professional bodybuilder and steroid user. I have my suspicions.
Get that bullshit off the screen. That Total War nonsense that he's hawking. I was just about to say, do you think he takes glycerol, Taylor?
I think he's taken more than that.
I think so too.
He looks terrific.
He looks terrific.
I've been paying attention to the fitness influencers who've been dying lately. Like, I guess it's because I watch More Plates, More Dates and Greg Doucette.
Yeah.
And every time, like, I never even hear of these people. Typically I don't hear of them. I do know who's the guy with the rigorous upload schedule who's been dead for a year?
Mountain Dog.
Yeah.
You know the truth about that, and why we probably should. It's got to be that I think that his family needs the income, and they are re-uploading older videos to kind of keep.
Consider that.
Yeah.
I think that's what's actually happening. All jokes aside.
For some reason, I was just sure that he had this much in the can.
We're going to stick with that joke because it's funny and no one's checking up on us.
He's the only YouTuber that does years in advance.
It was like and he doesn't upload a little. He uploads like 3 times a week. But
It's a lot.
But yeah, so him I had heard of before his death. I'd watched a lot of his videos actually, but most of these guys I haven't heard of. But it's just weird to see people drop who are perfect specimens.
Mm-hmm.
And
well,
so anyway,
you look good on the outside. It depends what they've done to themselves on the inside.
when I saw Sage Northcutt, I was like, I wonder how healthy he really is. Obviously, he looks terrific. I would trade him. Look,
Yeah.
but my old heart might be better than his. I don't know.
Yeah, I think with a lot of that stuff, you're kind of burning the candle at both ends, physiologically speaking. I think it's better now. I think that a lot of the like bodybuilders who were taking like back in the old days, I think a lot of those guys killed themselves essentially. I don't mean like they got suicidal and killed themselves. I mean whatever the shit they were taking, like so much of it and everything. It seems like people are more health conscious about that stuff now.
Some are. There's still.
Oh yeah, there's people who are just like jack it to the max. There's always going to be those people. I mean, there's those people who shoot oil into their muscles. There's crazy people everywhere.
Synthol, yeah. But I feel like mostly Derek and some of the other guys in his universe are doing good things to like, hey, you can take lower doses of this stuff. You can take safer doses. You can do this without going crazy.
Yeah. And Arnold's the guy who like seems to have been just impervious to the shit because he just used so much for so many years. And he has his hair. I mean, he's very old and he's got quite a good head of hair for his age.
True. I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, that could be unnatural too.
It's got to be a genetic outlier thing. It's just something about how he processes
In
DHT
all kinds of ways. I need to get his ejaculate.
Oh God.
You're going to work for it.
He's got good
head.
He's got good genetics too. He was a tank commander or some shit. Not a tank commander, like a tank driver or something. They put that big motherfucker in a tank in Austria and had him driving the.
Dude, he was just bear crawling around the fucking Eastern European countryside, terrorizing villages.
Yeah, he had to go AWOL. He had to go AWOL to compete in some bodybuilding competition. I think he went and won. And then he had to go and like be in like the brig for like weeks or something like that because he's got
a very interesting life tale.
Yeah, I read somewhere because I always think of him as becoming a millionaire from Hollywood, right? I read that he made like his first million selling gym equipment, like being like in the backs of magazines used to be the place where you go to get.
You think he'd be sponsored by people that sell gym equipment, right? He wasn't a salesman.
Yeah, not directly. He was like sponsored by them, or maybe his picture was in there, and maybe he owned the company. I didn't get the nitty gritty of it, but I read once that like he had become a millionaire like from like workout equipment long before he like mastered the English language and did all that like other stuff that he did because he took all those tons and tons of different classes from acting to English to the posing stuff and all the ballet nonsense like.
I like
that. Yeah. I like that guy.
What's the guy's name who just went crazy? I have Mike Calhoun in my head, but he's not coming up. He's a bodybuilder. Greg Doucette made a video on him.
Oh, I don't know. I don't watch Greg much.
Shucks. Anyway, bodybuilder. Looks amazing. He's not too big. Like he looks, probably any of us would want to look like this guy. Okay. Whereas some bodybuilders I wouldn't even trade. And he's gone crazy. He road raged, rammed a guy with his car, got out of his car. The other guy gets out of his car and starts running after having been rammed into. Our man takes a machete and chases the guy. The guy runs and runs and runs, gets to create a little gap. Bodybuilders not known for their speed. Yeah. Gets in his car and races off. Now he has a legal problem on his hands.
I would imagine so. You can't brandish machetes and chase people in public. That's
in your rules.
Uncouth, untoward.
You didn't get caught.
I call it rude.
Callum Van Mong. Here, Zach, can you pull up a picture of this dude? So I don't know anything about anything.
What a name!
It's my suspicion. Like I always point to Tren. Isn't that the one that makes you crazy?
That seems to be the joke in the circles of steroid people.
Is it Trenbolone? Is that the full name? Trenbolone, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Zach will have a picture of this guy. I know we're a little over time, but this guy looks he might be a little too big, but he looks fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's like the maximum of big. We got to stop here.
Yeah.
We can't go anymore. Like honestly, that's too big. I think it's like he's so thick everywhere. There's so much mass. Like he's not even all that. I don't want you look. He's cut, but like he has so much mass that like you can't get as cut as I would like to be with that much mass. It's too much.
And his veins are like at the beginning stages.
Look at his Adonis line,
like right before people die.
Look, my Adonis lines are pretty nice, but like his has some kind of thing on it, and like that's a bridge too far, dude. Good looking fella though. Like
this picture,
a little too much.
Yeah, he's fortunate. Everybody's good looking if your teeth are straight and your body fat's low, pretty much. But this next picture, like he's more handsome than other people who are in really good shape.
Dude, I would trade in half a second.
He looks short. Is he?
6'2".
No.
He has
6'2" is tall for someone with his mass.
His lower body is so short.
Really?
I think that's because of how huge his legs are.
It could just be that. He is. I think his legs are very short. I think he's like
scroll down. You can see his legs.
Yeah,
Zach.
Yeah, he's got short legs. Look. I'm sure he's fine with him.
Dude, there's a picture of him lower, just mogging the statue of David.
What does mogging mean?
He's looking incredible. He's dominating. Look how much better he looks than that.
Yeah, he looks.
Statue of David has bigger testicles than this guy.
I think I take it back. I think his legs are too big though. His upper body is like the upper limit of as big as I would want to be. His legs are way too far.
He's doing too much quad work.
I wonder what he looks like just chill though, right? Like these are him with a pump on, probably at kind of a cut. His body fat's so low. He looks.
I bet this guy is never chill.
He's near peak,
dude. Like this guy can't buy jeans. Like they're too fucking big, bro. Okay. They're too big. They're gross. They're too big.
Interesting. So I'm usually the first one to say a person's too big. I guess he's proportional, and it's. Look, I think he's out of proportion. But
to me, he's out of proportion. To me, his legs are so it looks like maybe it's just this image we're looking at, but like his left leg looks as wide as his torso almost.
He could stand to miss
some his work. Dick needs to be a fire hydrant to look normal. Like,
well, let me tell you,
like if he pulls out 6 inches. It's going to be laughable on this frame.
He played Arnold Schwarzenegger in some sort of movie.
I dare you to laugh at it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know the movie you're talking about. This is that guy. Okay.
Oh, okay. You seem to know him outside the...
Imagine a confidence boost like that. We need you to play Arnold in his prime.
Dude, there's a lot of pictures, if you just Google his name, of him and Arnold like next to each other. He stacks up pretty well.
Yeah,
I picture it like every other sport where people from nowadays just eclipse people from 40
for sure.
Years
you take this guy and put him 70 or not 70. What was it? 50 years ago when Arnold was competing heavy. We'd be remembering this guy's name too.
I don't know enough about it to know anything about that. I know that a lot of them don't seem to be able to match his proportions. I guess. I think because of some of the drugs that get them as big as they are now, it holds him back in some areas. I know, like at the Arnold Classic, like that one guy who won, Arnold comes out and he's like, show him a nice vacuum, and he's making fun of the guy in front of everybody, the guy who just won, because he can't do a vacuum because he's got HGH gut, and Arnold would do that like vacuum where like you can almost see his spine behind his belly button. He sucked everything in so much, and his rib cage is like butterfly wings.
Yeah, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen that clip. Yeah, his proportions were crazy. I think that it's just what the judges reward. They seem to prefer an out of proportion mass monster over a well proportioned guy like Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, and I mean, there's different kind of competitions as well. I guess I don't like any of that shit. I'm being honest. Like I know that's like Derek's thing, but I don't fucking get it. I won't use any names, but I remember I ran into somebody and a famous person, and I guess they were like part-time. They did bodybuilding, and he's trying to impress me, and he's trying to get me to like do social media stuff with him, and I'm just trying to get away from him. And he's like, check this out. It's like him and his friend. His friend's like, check it out, bro. He's like his hype man. He's like, you're not gonna believe it. And he like pulls out his phone, and it's like him at a bodybuilding competition with a Speedo on, all greased up, and I'm just like,
neat.
Men's physique
man.
is typically what I wish I could look like. I never will, right? And I'm pretty happy with just the best version of me. Like, you know, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave a search for Zach, hopefully to pull up, and I just Googled men's physique. These guys all look great. We'll see them in a minute.
Yeah, I no, they absolutely. Well, that's a whole different thing. Yeah, like this is more like what men want to actually look like, kind of thing.
And what women want their men to look like, maybe.
Actually, women runs the gamut. There's plenty of women that want chubby dudes.
Yes, there literally are. Yeah, that's just what's up. There are women who want chubby dudes.
I was talking to a girl like not that long ago. She's like, I think I like hairy bear type guys. I'm like, I don't think you call them bears if they're straight.
I keep going after bears and I keep getting shot down. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, I think different chicks are into all sorts of different shit. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's plenty. There's some like freaks out there that's ears perked up. Really? No.
It's rare that they're into the super muscular dudes though, like the bodybuilder, mass monsters, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's got to be. Somebody's into just about everything.
Yep.
Almost. You guys want to call it a show? I can smell my
I think it's a wrap
out there.
I can smell my coffee. I'm going in there to get that.
Nice. All right. PKN 396.